That's the sound of police sirens driving east on G Street where I am parked at FERN and G, so they just drove right past me. That's the second time of them sounding their sirens. That is a common part of the pattern of conduct. What's relevant right now, again, and what I'm documenting is the ongoing harassment in the morning. As part of the state's ongoing monitoring, they need me to open my eyes. The invasion of privacy includes listening to me breathe. This is how they're able to continue with the noise making at the perfect time when someone is falling asleep. Those things are detectable by breathing patterns, by eye movement. In the morning, irrespective of how much I am documenting them, they continue to engage in this. This is harassment that I'm documenting, and they use the sirens. That's what that's relevant to. In addition to the planes that are flying over, what I documented this morning is laying on my left side, facing the front of the car, the tapping that I've documented that the state is engaged in, tapping on this car on the rear passenger side door. At 9:25, I turned over to my opposite side, facing the back of the car, and that is where the tapping resumed at the same place it resumed yesterday, where I stopped counting at 89 taps on the car. It resumed at that same place in the back of the car once I turned over. And then in addition to that, the tapping resumed in another position as simultaneous to my turning over, facing an opposite direction inside of the car. And that was at 9:25. And that was immediately followed. I grabbed my cell phone, which is noticeable to them. That prompted the flying over, directly over this car, of 4 airplanes, in addition to a helicopter. And that ended at 9:32 when I turned over again, facing the front of the car, where the tapping resumed at the passenger side door. So it is in reaction to my activity. It is moving as I move. The police sirens that occurred 2 minutes ago are an additional act, driving directly past me, driving east on FERN. I'm at FERN and G. The sirens are a disruptive tactic. They are trying to wake me up. This is harassment that goes on every day. I've documented this at other locations as well. They engage in the same general harassment using different tactics, in addition to third parties. The planes flying over are constant, the tapping of the vehicle, third parties walking by. What I've demonstrated also with regard to the state stalking system and the elements that are involved, there is no coincidence with regard to the cars that drive by and the persons that walk by, the noises that you hear. They are in conjunction. They are concerted actions with regard to the state's efforts to disturb my rest, because they are invading my privacy and unaware of what is going on in the inside of this car. And they continue to do so with their full knowledge that I'm documenting it, which I think illustrates their need for me to get up with regard to their ability to keep monitoring me. They need my eyes open as opposed to closed. This is something that I have observed, because it is something that I've thoroughly documented, and the state continues to engage in it. It is clearly apparent at more than one place that the state is engaged in blatant harassment. In the morning, I've had my car door, they knock on my car door, tapping on the windows, and now the state is doing it itself. There's no person standing outside. They're dropping or making a noise, however they're doing it, on the rear windshield. It's reactive to where I'm moving inside of the car. I'm documenting this day in and day out, and they are continuing to engage in the same conduct. What is relevant is with regard to law enforcement. That was law enforcement driving past within the pattern of conduct, remaining in proximity, just as I've stated, making themselves either visually or audibly present. That's what that is. It's 9:49 a.m. And just to illustrate, that is a helicopter where I'm at FERN and G. It's 9:49 a.m. while I document. They are very well aware that I'm documenting them. And this is another helicopter. Just to solidify that point of what I am demonstrating and what I'm documenting. That's a helicopter. This is FERN G, November 25th. It's 9:53 a.m. That's a helicopter again. It is east of my location on FERN and G. They are flying about this intersection where I'm at. It's 10:07 a.m. That is the sound of the airplanes that fly north of this car that I'm inside of on FERN and G. They engage in that conduct systematically, flying north of this car, and they do it in sync with activity. This is goes to the invasion of privacy and ongoing monitoring. It's 10:15. As soon as I picked up this phone in order to document the use of light to search the inside of this car that occurs each time a third party drives by on this street, the plane started to fly over. It flies north of this location, of my location inside of this car, and that occurred right now at 10:15 a.m. The cars in the background, the dogs barking, all of that is concerted action to mask the sound of the airplanes flying by, but this is in conformity to my overall documentation. The planes remain present as of 10:15 right now. That was the sound of another airplane flying over, not as though they ceased, but what I am highlighting is it's coinciding action with my activity. This goes to invasion of privacy, their knowledge of what's going on in here. This goes to the harassment of waking me up, listening to my breathing and my eye movement patterns. That's how they're able to detect. That's how they're able to get right at that moment before you fall asleep. That's detectable. With regard to that plane is not north, that is south. Which actually speaks to how they are surrounding this area. Actually, it doesn't contradict what I'm saying. The state tries to contradict what I'm documenting. What that shows is how they are surrounding this area. But that also does speak to what I'm documenting. The planes are present and they remain present. At 10:15, that was a plane flying west north of the location of this vehicle. That is a plane at 10:16 flying south of the location of this vehicle. And it should be noted that south of this location is all residences. Those are apartment complexes directly behind Woodside Senior, to be exact, and houses. So those are the planes that are flying over. That's where that plane is flying over right now. And also, I have to point this out because a part of the pattern of conduct, which is based on their invasion of privacy, is to actually engage in what I have termed real-time reaction as I document them. So they engage in action while I document it, sometimes in order to try to contradict what I'm stating. At other times, it clearly is in no way helpful to their interests because it establishes my underlying basis of liability on the state, which is their ongoing presence via airplane, chiefly, amongst other ways. But this is a good example right here. That is the sound of the airplanes that they want to be perceived. Those are the ones that fly loudly. What I've demonstrated in my documentation is that they engage in that. They know that I'm documenting them. They don't mind that being heard. That is not the only means by which they are present. The blinking planes are not the ones making those loud engine noises over the intersection. They maintain a static presence where I am and where I go. The blinking planes that I identified in December 2018 are the same planes that are remaining present to date. Those are not the ones that are flying north. They engage in conspicuous and inconspicuous / surreptitious conduct, hovering over this vehicle in quiet manner, as opposed to that in obvious manner while I am in the midst of documenting them. That is not a coincidence. This is the state showing how it is invading my privacy and listening to me document their conduct. It is 10:18 a.m. and I am at FERN G on November 25th, Monday. That's a third party sitting in their car. That's pattern of conduct. That's the airplane flying over. This is while I'm engaged in activity on my phone. But this is ongoing monitoring and surveillance and stalking. That's what that is with regard to the airplanes and the third parties. It is 10:25 a.m. That is an example of the system at work right there. The third party systematically engage in sitting in their vehicles surrounding my location. This is how you get the driving by at the moment when I engage in a sudden movement, if I'm staring in a certain direction. And that is where the search occurs with the use of light on the inside of this car that I have described as unnatural, both during the day and at night with headlights. It is not a product of reflection with headlights or sunlight. It is a product of strategic direction of light into this car. This is a targeted location. This is where I remain. Those same elements exist out in public amongst the third parties that I'm surrounded by, where the state remains present, flying over, and as well as driving around, remaining in proximity. That is law enforcement. It's 10:26 a.m. and I am still at FERN and G.